Basically, it's all the glory and loveliness.
Won't you come down with me to the sound.
This is fresh. Seriously fresh. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Food nerd. I just can't help myself. Full on food nerd.
Lobster Brothers.
Take me down, down, down to the sea. Won't you come down with me?
So, Joey, say hey.
Yes, sir.
About you, Adam. How far off? How far off do you go?
From 10 to like 30 miles. 10 to 30 miles.
And if you've never had lobster right off the boat,
Delicious.
you don't know what you're missing. It's a completely different experience. For sure.
Our farm, farm to sea. So this is our farmer's farm. Bring it in.
Yeah. So during COVID, they expanded from selling just the bugs off the boat to selling scallops and shrimp. The shrimp's from North Carolina, am I correct? North Carolina white shrimp. They're phenomenal. And they're here every Saturday from 11 until they sell out. Or they need a beer, whichever comes first. This is one of my favorite places.
How did we end up living
those.
this way?
Nice Jersey girls.
Yep, right off the Jersey Shore, some of the best scallops in the entire world. World, not country, world. All right, I'll take 2 pounds of shrimp. I'll take another pound of scallops. I'm not gonna take any bugs today, unless you got just tails. You got a couple of tails? All right, cool. All right, English Farms. Let's see what we've got today. I've got those scallops that I picked up down from the Lobster Brothers. And let's see what we've got for being inspired. Cabbage. It is ridiculously hot in Jersey today. That could be a really nice idea. All right, ginger. I'm starting to see something here. Let's see what these peaches look like. What am I doing here? I want a piece that's got a couple good sized fingers to it, and I want it to be firm, skin not to be too thick. It makes it a little easier to deal with. Let's see what we've got. I've got plenty of herbs on the deck. I'll use one of our red chilies. Yeah, I got it. All right, so what do we got? We're gonna use some local garlic, ginger, all right, I got it figured. We'll talk more. Peace. So when I was walking through the farmer's market, there were just a couple of things that really jumped out to me. One, some fresh ginger. The local ginger is really, really lovely. And there were some peaches and cabbage, and I'm a big fan of greens of all types. But so hot, I thought, wow, something nice and chilled would be great with those scallops as an accompaniment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a coleslaw. We're gonna spike it with some of these red chilies back here that I've got, and some of these fresh white Jersey peaches. It's gonna be fantastic. Let me show you a couple of little things though that might make life a little easier for you. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to toss these red onions. They're sliced fairly small but very, very thin. Right in they go. And the reason I'm putting those in right now is I need a bowl for the pits of my peach. Now, many times these are Jersey white peaches, and many times you'll find a peach and the skin is really fuzzy and incredibly tough. These peaches, however, are not. I'm not saying anything that I do is right or wrong. It's just what I do. What I did is I took a chunk of the peach with the skin, and the skin is definitely there, but it's not tough, and it has a nice little flavor to it. So I'm leaving the skin. What I'm doing with this peach is, if you look at this peach, there's a seam right here, right? This little seam, I take my knife, I go right in it, I push it until I feel the pit, and then I just rotate it around. Once I'm there, I gently twist it. And it's a constant twist with pressure, right? You don't want to squeeze it and push it, because then you're going to mangle that peach. Now, the hardest part I find is getting this pit out. I recommend you do this with a spoon. I'm going to do it with a little paring knife. You get down underneath it and you lever it up and towards you, and see how that comes out. The key is, if it's fighting with you, don't squeeze it hard. You're going to end up with mush on your hands, right? Now I'm just going to take these into some nice pieces. Now, the next thing that I want to show you really quickly is the best way to peel a piece of ginger. Yep, you got it, with a spoon. If you take that and you just put the spoon on it and just pull it towards you, put a little pressure on it and pull it towards you, and it peels that skin right off like it's nothing. So I just take that, and then I put a couple little vertical slices in it, and then just really thin. You can do this, you can mince it, you can put it on a grater. I like the sharp bite of a piece of ginger when I bite into it. I enjoy it. It's kind of like biting into garlic. I enjoy it. Everything that I've done with these fresh vegetables, when I'm doing something like this, I'm getting a little bit of salt on it now, okay? Again, we're not talking about a lot of salt. It may look like it when it's going in. Your ginger. One of the things that I got at English Market was some green garlic, so some fresh garlic. They had just gotten to the point where they were starting to create full bulbs that you could pull cloves off of. Really sharp, really yummy. So in that goes. I minced it because in this case I want lots of surfaces to let go of the essential oils that are going to give us those flavors. I've got here, this is a Pommery mustard. It's a stone ground mustard. It's a French pub mustard, and it's one of the oldest mustards in the world, and it's really, really yummy. I'm going to pop that in. And it's a tablespoon of mustard. I'm going to use 2 chilies today because it's a lot of cabbage. I want it to have a little bite because those sweet white peaches are going to soften some of that spice. Now, I've got some fresh basil. I've got a little bit of rosemary and a little bit of parsley. Chop into fairly fine pieces. I'm not going to go crazy. Okay. Now that was some parsley and a little bit of rosemary. Rosemary is just going to be there hiding out. You're going to wonder, what the heck?
All of your friends are barely okay. How did we end up living this way?
I'm going to add in my vinegar before the peaches because I don't want to stir the peaches too much. They'll end up picking it up. This is some red wine vinegar. So we talked about the beehive. It's right back there. And actually it's pretty hot today and our bees are bearding again. So this is some honey that comes out of it.
Is this really the way that life's supposed to be?
This is a very nice Italian. It's the same that I used on the crudos. I'm pretty liberal with this.
Won't you come down with me?
We want to stir with a purpose. It's not just stirring. Wow, I am making a holy Toledo of a mess. We're going to pick that up. We're trying to accomplish something. We're trying to make sure that a little bit of everything gets everywhere. Okay, now, I'm going to add my peaches. Now, for these peaches, what we're going to do is we're going to fold. We're going to reach to the bottom, and we're going to take it up, and we're going to turn it over. Just as if I was folding some egg whites inside. I'm going to take a little taste to see if we need to add a little salt or pepper, because we're going to let it sit for a while. Yeah. We're going to let this sit and let the salt and such do with it. Wow, that chili has such a bite to it. But the sweet peach softens it so nicely. We're going to serve this later when we cook up those scallops. This is most definitely fresh. We'll come in and we'll do a couple of stirs here and there. I gotta tell you, I'm excited about this. This is gonna be really good with those sweet scallops. And after that sits and comes together with the peaches and the chilies, oh my goodness, this is gonna be so good. We're gonna season these scallops. I'm gonna deal with these lobster tails that I got from Lobster Brothers. All right, so to get this ready, I'm going to take some salt, not a lot. I'm going to season the top of my scallops. And remember, we're talking about just a little bit of salt. Now, before I salt this lobster, I'm going to give it just a little tiny, and I mean the tiniest amount. Alright, this pan is getting nice and hot. I'm going to give it just a minute because I want it pretty hot. I don't want it raging hot, but I want to get a good sear on the top side of these scallops and on that lobster. But I don't want it so hot that I make that lobster tough when it hits that pan. We're gonna go to town here. Got a little olive oil. I'm going to move it across that pan. You know that it's getting hot enough because it starts to ripple. Here we go.
The sun in the sky, toes in the sand. With nothing to do and nothing to plan.
If you go to move something and it doesn't want to release, see, those are, it means they want a little more time. That just is all there is to it. I've got some onions, some ginger, some garlic. I need to make sure that there's some oil in that pan. And in this case, I've turned the heat down quite a bit. So now I'm going to actually do this with a little extra virgin olive oil. First thing I'm doing is I'm adding my onions. I start giving them just a minute to get a head start. And you're going to see it also begins to start pulling off the remnants that are in that pan. It's called a fond in French cooking. Basically, it's all the glory and loveliness that starts to give us some sauce that's left in the pan behind you. If you're throwing out your pan before, okay, now I have some slivered garlic. It's actually that garlic that I crushed earlier, and I've left into pieces. And I'm putting in my ginger. Now, my onions are browning deep, which they're red onions. I like this because it's a bit of a caramelization. And there's very, very little that I think is better than caramelized onions. And I'm getting that garlic to be toasted so that there's no raw garlic flavor to it. Now, I'm gonna hit this just because I have that half lime. It's actually a quarter of a lime. And I throw that lime in because I like to get some of the limonene that's in that skin going. Now I'm adding my beer. As soon as I add that beer, I turn the temperature way up because I want it to reduce down.
Frozen concoction in your hand. The sun in the sky, toes in the sand.
Here's this beautiful slaw that we made. This should be so refreshing on a nice hot day.
We got nothing to do, so take me down, down, down to the sea. Won't you come down with me to the sound, sound, sound of the sea. Let's forget all our cares and be free.
We're starting to get a little thickness here. I'm going to help that out, and I'm also going to put something in that helps to marry. I'm taking this lime out. And if you remember, we put some Pommery mustard in this slaw. So to help us marry that, mustard just a little bit. That's probably a half a teaspoon. All right, we are very close to where we want that to be. We're going to take a quick taste. A little pepper. A light pinch of salt. And I'm going to hit it with just the tiniest amount of honey. That's like maybe a quarter teaspoon. That reduction has turned into a nice thick syrup. Now, we could strain out all the bits and bobs, but I don't want to do that. I like the bits and bobs.
Take me down, down, down to the sea. Won't you come down with me to the sound, sound, sound.
Okay, don't judge me. Kitchen table's a disaster because I've been filming and trying to edit and doing a bunch of stuff and cooking. So Forgive me. But I couldn't.
Frozen concoction in your hand.
I know I made it.
Sun in the sky.
I know I cooked it. But I gotta tell you something.
With nothing to do and nothing
This
to plan. We got
is off the
nothing
hook.
to do, so take me down, down, down to the sea.
The scallop
Won't you come down
with a little bit of the slaw.
to the sound, sound, sound of the sea. Let's forget all our cares and be free. We can
You serve me that
splash
anywhere.
in the
Happy man. Happy, happy, happy.
We can dance
And then
till dawn.
wash it down with a little bit of Oak Flower Brewing Kolsch.
Can dream all our lives away. If you
With it in the sauce as the syrup. They just go together.
to the sea,
This is fresh.
won't you come
Seriously fresh.
with me to the sound, sound, sound of the sea?